Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to learn about a strange and wonderful mystery. It is called the Nazca Lines. This story is for Level 1 learners, so I will use simple words and short sentences. Listen carefully. This is a true mystery, and nobody has solved it completely. Let's begin. Far away in the desert of southern Peru, there is a flat, dry piece of land. This land does not get much rain. It does not have many plants. It is quiet and empty most of the time. But if you fly high above this desert in an airplane, you will see something amazing. You will see giant pictures drawn into the ground. These pictures are called the Nazca Lines. The Nazca Lines are enormous drawings. Some of them show animals. There is a huge picture of a monkey. There is a picture of a spider. There is a picture of a hummingbird, a small bird with fast wings. There is even a picture that looks like a giant human figure with one arm raised high in the air. Some drawings show simple shapes instead, like straight lines, triangles, and spirals. Here is the strange part. These pictures are enormous. The hummingbird picture alone is almost as long as 3 football fields placed end to end. Some of the straight lines stretch for many miles across the desert floor. Because these pictures are so large, you cannot see the full shape while standing on the ground. You can only see the whole picture clearly from high in the sky. This is where the great mystery begins. The Nazca Lines were made a very long time ago. Scientists believe the people who made them lived between 500 BC and 500 AD. This means the lines are around 2,000 years old. The people who made them belonged to a group called the Nazca culture. They lived in this desert region long before airplanes existed. They lived long before anyone could fly above the earth and look down. So here is the big question. If the Nazca people could never see their own drawings from the sky, why did they make pictures so large that only the sky could show their true shape? This question has puzzled scientists, historians, and curious travelers for many, many years. Let's talk about how the Nazca people actually made these giant pictures. The process is actually simpler than you might think, even though the result looks incredibly complex. The desert ground in this area has 2 different layers. On top, there are small reddish-brown rocks and pebbles. Underneath this top layer, there is lighter-colored dirt and sand. The Nazca people removed the darker top rocks along specific paths, revealing the lighter ground underneath. This created light-colored lines against a darker desert background, lines that have lasted for thousands of years, because this desert almost never gets rain or strong wind to erase them. Making the shapes correctly, especially large detailed animal pictures, would have required careful planning. Scientists believe the Nazca people first made smaller versions of their designs, perhaps drawn in the dirt nearby. Then, using stakes and long ropes, they likely measured out points across the larger desert area, connecting these points step by step until the massive final shape was complete. This method could explain how ancient people, without airplanes or modern tools, managed to create such large, accurately shaped pictures. But knowing how the lines were made does not answer the more important question. Why did the Nazca people spend so much time and effort creating pictures nobody standing on the ground could ever fully see? Over many decades, researchers have offered several different theories, each one interesting in its own way. One popular theory connects the lines to religion and the gods. Many ancient cultures around the world believed that gods lived in the sky, watching over human life from above. Some researchers believe the Nazca people created these enormous pictures as messages or gifts meant specifically for their gods. If gods lived above the clouds, perhaps the Nazca people believed their gods could see these pictures perfectly, even if human eyes on the ground could not. Another theory connects the lines to water and farming. This desert region receives very little rainfall throughout the year. Water has always been an extremely precious resource for people living in this dry environment. Some researchers believe certain lines might point toward underground water sources, or might have been created as part of rituals asking for rain. In a desert environment, successfully finding water or receiving enough rain could mean the difference between survival and serious hardship for an entire community. A third theory suggests the lines might work like a giant astronomical calendar. Some researchers, studying the positions of specific lines carefully, believe certain lines might align with the sun's position during important seasonal changes, such as the longest day of the year or the beginning of important farming seasons. If this theory is correct, the Nazca Lines might have helped ancient farmers know exactly when to plant important crops, using the position of the sun and stars as a natural, giant calendar drawn directly onto the Earth itself. There is even a fourth, much stranger theory that some people find fascinating, even though most serious scientists do not accept it. A small number of people have suggested that the lines were somehow connected to visitors from outer space, perhaps used as landing markers for spacecraft, or created as messages meant for beings from other planets. Nearly all professional archaeologists strongly reject this idea, pointing out there is no real scientific evidence supporting it whatsoever. Still, this unusual theory helped make the Nazca Lines famous around the entire world, appearing in television documentaries, popular books, and countless magazine articles over the years. Interestingly, researchers have noticed that not all Nazca Lines are the same age, or even made by exactly the same techniques. Some of the straight lines and simple geometric shapes appear to be older than the more detailed animal drawings. This has led some historians to believe the site's purpose might have slowly changed over many generations. What began as one type of practice, perhaps connected to water or farming, may have gradually evolved into something more artistic or religious over time, as different generations of the Nazca people added their own new designs to the desert floor. Archaeologists have also studied nearby Nazca burial sites and ancient pottery for additional clues. Some pottery found in the region shows small painted images that closely resemble the giant desert figures, including spiders, monkeys, and birds. This discovery suggests these particular animals held deep cultural or religious meaning for the Nazca people in their daily lives, not just in their enormous ground drawings. Understanding what these animals symbolized in Nazca pottery and textiles has helped researchers form more educated guesses about why these same creatures were chosen for such an enormous, lasting project. For a long time, the Nazca Lines remained largely unknown outside of Peru itself. Local people living nearby certainly knew simple lines existed on the ground, but almost nobody understood the drawing's true massive scale, since no one before the 20th century could easily view them from high above. Everything changed in the 1920s and 1930s, when commercial airplanes began flying regularly over parts of Peru. Pilots flying above the desert region started noticing strange lines and shapes beneath them, shapes far too large and precise to have formed naturally. Word about these mysterious ground drawings slowly spread among curious scientists and adventurous travelers. One researcher became especially famous for studying the Nazca Lines closely. Her name was Maria Reich, a German mathematician who first visited Peru in the 1930s. When Maria first saw the lines up close, she became completely fascinated. She decided to dedicate the rest of her entire life to studying, measuring, and protecting these incredible ancient drawings. Maria Reich spent decades living near the Nazca Desert, often alone, carefully measuring individual lines using simple tools like ropes and ladders. She climbed onto small hills nearby to get a better, higher view of the giant shapes below her. Local people in the nearby town sometimes called her simply the lady who counts the lines, since she spent so many hours walking slowly across the desert, notebook in hand, recording every measurement with enormous patience. She lived a simple, quiet life, often sleeping in a small house near the desert edge, spending very little money on herself so she could dedicate more of her limited resources toward protecting and documenting the ancient site. She also worked hard convincing the Peruvian government that these ancient drawings deserved serious legal protection, since local roads and farming activity sometimes accidentally damaged parts of the ancient lines. Thanks largely to Maria Reich's tireless decades of work, the Peruvian government eventually declared the Nazca Lines a protected historical area. Later, an international organization called UNESCO officially recognized the Nazca Lines as an important World Heritage Site, meaning the site holds special cultural value not just for Peru, but for the entire world's shared human history. Today, thousands of visitors traveled to Peru specifically to see the Nazca Lines for themselves. Since the shapes can only be properly viewed from high above, tourists typically take small airplane flights specifically designed to circle above the most famous drawings, giving passengers a clear, unforgettable view of the ancient hummingbird, monkey, spider, and human figure below them. Modern technology has also helped researchers learn more about the Nazca Lines in recent years. Scientists now use drones, satellite photographs, and computer image analysis to study the desert floor in incredible detail. Remarkably, these modern tools have helped researchers discover brand new figures previously hidden or faded, figures nobody had ever noticed before, even after decades of careful study on the ground. In 2019, researchers using drone technology found a new figure resembling a cat, faded almost completely from centuries of wind and dust. This discovery reminded the entire scientific community that the Nazca Desert likely still holds more secrets, quietly waiting beneath the surface for someone or something to reveal them once again. Despite all this modern technology and decades of careful scientific research, the true, complete reason behind the Nazca Lines remains genuinely uncertain even today. Perhaps the real answer combines several different theories together. Perhaps the lines served religious purposes for certain communities, while also marking important seasonal changes for farmers, all at roughly the same time. Ancient cultures were often deeply complex, and a single, simple explanation might not fully capture everything these remarkable people intended when they first began removing dark stones from the desert floor, thousands of years ago. What we do know for certain is this. Around 2,000 years ago, without airplanes, without satellites, and without any way to see their own work from above, the Nazca people created something so precise, so massive, and so lasting that it still amazes modern visitors today. Their incredible achievement reminds us that ancient people were far more skilled, patient, and intelligent than many people often assume, capable of extraordinary work using only simple tools, careful planning, and remarkable dedication. Standing in that quiet desert today, surrounded by nothing but sand, wind, and silence, it is easy to feel a deep sense of wonder, knowing that beneath your own feet lies a puzzle that has outlasted empires, survived thousands of years of weather, and still manages, even now, to keep at least part of its ancient secret. The Nazca Lines teach us several important lessons. First, humans are capable of achieving incredible things, even without advanced modern technology, if they have enough patience, careful planning, and dedication. Second, not every mystery in our world needs a single, complete answer to remain deeply meaningful and worth studying carefully. Now, it's time to learn vocabulary from today's story. Enormous means extremely large in size. Example, the Nazca Lines are enormous drawings in the desert. Mystery means something strange that is difficult to explain or understand. Example, nobody has solved this mystery completely. Culture means the way of life, beliefs, and traditions of a specific group of people. Example, the Nazca culture lived in this desert region long ago. Puzzle means to confuse someone because something is difficult to understand. Example, this question has puzzled scientists for many years. Reveal means to show or uncover something that was hidden before. Example, removing the top rocks revealed the lighter ground underneath. Ritual means a special ceremony or action performed for religious or traditional reasons. Example, some lines might be connected to rain rituals. A line means to arrange something in a straight line or a specific direction. Example, certain lines might align with the sun's position. Archaeologist means a scientist who studies old objects in ancient places. Example, most archaeologists reject the outer space theory completely. Dedicate means to give a large amount of time and effort to something important. Example, she dedicated her life to studying the lines. Protect means to keep something safe from damage or harm. Example, the government now protects the Nazca Lines by law. Recognize means to officially accept or acknowledge something's importance. Example, UNESCO recognized the site as a World Heritage Site. Achievement means something impressive accomplished through hard work and skill. Example, their achievement still amazes visitors today. Try to use these words in your own sentences. This will help you remember them. Now, let's practice speaking together. Repeat after me. Speak slowly and clearly. The Nazca Lines are giant drawings in the desert. You can only see them clearly from the sky. Nobody knows exactly why they were made. Some people believe they honored ancient gods. Some people believe they marked the seasons. Maria Reich spent her whole life studying them. Today, the lines are carefully protected. Modern tools help us study them more closely. Ancient people were skilled without modern technology. This mystery still fascinates people today. Practice these sentences 2 or 3 times. This will help your speaking and your confidence. Thank you so much for listening to this story today. I hope you enjoyed learning about this incredible mystery, and I hope you learned some useful new English words too. Now, I have a few simple questions for you. Which Nazca Lines theory do you personally find most believable? Why do you think ancient people made pictures so large they could not see completely themselves? If you could fly above the Nazca Desert yourself someday, which shape would you most want to see first? Please write your answers in the comments below. I would love to read them. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, share it with a friend, and follow us for more easy English stories. Take care, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.